Yeah, so hi everyone, this is Country Music News International. My name's Nigel Sharpe, and the guy on the other side of the big pond, that's Willie Watson, founder of the Old Crow Medicine Show, or at least a co-founder. But these days,
Hi. Yeah.
more solo than anything else. Although I did notice actually on your tour schedule, you're supposed to be supporting the Old Crow Medicine Show this evening.
Correct. Yeah, this evening in Portland, Maine.
Yeah, I was going through the whole sort of tour schedule. There's a few dates sort of like further down the line where it says you're with the Old Crow Medicine Show, so you're actually playing with them for those gigs,
We'll open the show, me and my band,
right?
and singing my new songs that are on my record and some of the old ones from my folk singer records as well. And then after that, Old Crow comes out and does their show, and maybe midway through their set, I come up and join them and
Right.
and stay there for a while, and for a good bit of the rest of that show and the encore and kind of rejoin the band a little bit, but
There
not
you go.
really.
But not really, yeah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you get on well with the guys?
Yeah, we get along.
Okay, let's get to your music because that's what we're here for.
And we can, yeah, and you can talk about whatever yeah, we can talk about. I'm open to whatever you want to talk about. So
Nah,
don't hold back.
I'll do my best. What actually I really wanted to talk about was the video to Real Love. I guess this is one of the songs on your forthcoming album, the eponymous
Correct. Yeah.
album. It's called Willie Watson. And I saw that it was heralded as your debut album, which it isn't really, except that it is your debut album of original songs. So have I got
Yeah,
that right?
yeah, it is, and it's certainly not. You know, it's not the debut of anything I've done. It's certainly not like it's not my debut, but
No.
I've always done things that weren't fully Willie Watson. They weren't fully me as
Okay.
far as the world has seen me do. Most people, I think, in this Americana world, don't want to be boxed in or limited by a genre or a style. And regardless of that, it's can't deny the fact that that's where I've been and what I've done for decades. I feel like I've gotten away from your question. I started rambling a little bit.
I'm good
What
at
was the
that,
question?
actually, rambling.
Okay. Okay.
No, I don't think you got away from it really. It's all background material to sort of why this
Oh yeah, and
album
the
is
debut
there.
thing and all that. And all the debut stuff. So this is, I feel, truly the first thing I've ever done that expresses me for who I am and what I have to say and how I feel and how I've always wanted to present myself from the beginning. But you know, I was young and scared when I was young and scared. So, I got comfortable in situations that I don't regret or anything. I don't regret the music that I played or the decisions we made or the things I loved and still do. And I just want to make it clear that I'm not going back on anything. It's not like I don't like folk music or old music anymore. I hope it's not painting that picture.
So, in terms of this album showcasing your own material, was that an inner motivation to write your own material? Had you written material before but never used it, or
Yeah, I mean, of course, I've always written songs. And I got held up somewhere in there along the way pretty quick. I got pretty held up on it and like didn't think that I was built for it necessarily. So I was pretty afraid of writing songs. It's not that I didn't do it, but it turned out that I wasn't that kind of a songwriter. I wasn't the songwriter like the person I was in a band, like two of the people I was in a band with. Were like tried and true songwriters who walked around with pads and pens and papers and wrote stuff down all the time. Just you would imagine Bob Dylan would do. Just like you would imagine a poet walking around with their notepad. And those are kind of writers. That's the kind of writers that, a lot of people I know are. And I didn't feel like that. And it was laborious, laborious.
laborious?
for me to thanks to try to be that way didn't come naturally to me, to walk around writing stuff. I wouldn't wake up in the morning and look at the sun and be filled with words to describe it. And no one ever really showed me what kind of work it took to become that at that age. So I didn't pursue it like that. I didn't pursue it as intensely as I did with singing and making a sound contained within one person, me and my guitar, and that could work with other people too. So I focused on other things musically. That doesn't mean that my intention in the beginning wasn't to be Bob Dylan. By the time I was 18 or 19, Neil Young had already been my favorite thing for many years. And by the time I was 18 or 19, Bob Dylan starts really creeping into the picture a lot. So I knew I wasn't going to be exactly like him, but to be that kind of a thing, to be that kind, to write and write and write and be a songwriter who's going to say his piece up there. And so over the years with Old Crow, it was difficult for me to not end up being that guy. And I'm sorry to ramble on about your one question. Should I stop and we can move on?
No, I'm fascinated, particularly by the reference to Bob.
Okay, so by the time I was 20, and I was like, well, did you do what Bob Dylan did by the time he was 20? No, you did not. It's okay. You're not Bob Dylan. You got more time. You could maybe do something like that by the time you're 22 or 23. So 22 or 23 comes around and I'm like, well, did I do that yet? No, you didn't. I don't know if I'm going to do it. Well, you're still not Bob Dylan, dude. You can maybe, you can catch up, he's the exception, so it's constant comparison to other people. And I'm like, well, okay, you didn't do it. So give up on that and figure out what you're good at instead. And so that's what I've spent my life doing. Yeah. So it's time now to not worry about whether it compared to Bob Dylan or Neil Young or anybody. And just whatever I had to write down, I was just going to see how it was going to work out. And I thought I was doing a lot of comparison as well in my younger days and my whole life, comparing to what was good and what people liked and what was around in the world, and always at a different time. I never lived in the world that I'm actually in. I'm always thinking about other times, whether it's the 20s or the 60s or the 70s. So I had to just stop all these boundaries that I put up on myself through my whole life, and whatever was going to happen and whatever Willie Watson at this point was going to put down on paper is just going to have to be okay. And I knew enough to know how to keep working on stuff. And again, I'd written songs before. I don't want any of these interviews and this whole story to play out like it's brand new and I've never done it. I've written a lot of songs that a lot of people love and a lot of people have heard, and I've made a bunch of money off of that are in movies. I co-wrote and wrote songs with Old Crow Medicine Show that are there on records. It was just a matter of being devastated after being solo and being not in that band and just giving up and leaning on Leadbelly as a safety net. It took me 10 years to pick myself back up and crawl out of a swamp and get to figure out how to be Willie Watson again. Real simple and pure and not much else to look at other than the one thing.
Let me go back to the video again. As I was saying, every time I watch it, something else kind of pops up and kind of grabs my attention. One of them actually is the guitar that you're playing. I just don't recognize that guitar. What is it?
Oh, it's a Larrivee. That's an OM50. I usually play an OM1, and that's my main guitar is an OM1. But I got that OM50 from them. Oh man, maybe almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah, that's because it doesn't look new. That's for sure. It looks like a
the one in the video,
well-used guitar.
Yeah, the one in the video is the OM50. I used that because my main guitar was with Ben here on the bus. It was in New York State, so it was miles away and I didn't have it. But I was glad I got that one out because it's got a glossy finish and it's got a pick guard on it, which I thought looked nice because I don't usually have a pick guard on my guitar. Cool, I'm glad you like that one. It's a nice guitar. It's beautiful. It's very ornate. It's got herringbone inlays around it, and it's a little deeper of a bout, and the sound hole's a little bigger. And I was so excited that I thought it was going to be this bigger, different sound. And it is a different sound, but it never quite Nothing's like that OM1 that I have, my main guitar.
And the other thing from the video, I got to ask you this. It's the dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a natural dancer? 'Cause, I mean, I play
No.
guitar, and I played guitar for a long time and played music on stage, and I am the world's worst dancer.
Did we do good?
I think if you put the two of us together, we would not win any prizes
There you go. Thanks.
in any kind of
Yeah.
dance competition.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
have to kind of
Well,
practice for that? Did you work hard at
no,
your
we
dancing?
didn't practice. No, we didn't practice. No, we just did some stepping, I think. We don't dance together like that or anything often. But no, we're just didn't think too much about it.
That's good.
And we're a little nervous, and I think that probably shows through that we're a little uncomfortable doing it in front of the camera. Right?
A
Does
bit,
it show
yeah, for
through
sure.
that we're uncomfortable?
It seems
Good.
that way, yeah.
Yeah, good. That's what we intended. I hope that we seem uncomfortable.
So, Willie, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us. And
Nice talking to you, Nigel.
okay, you take care, and I'll say
Bye.
goodbye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.